As you can see, very, very mobile and very aggressive. I'm a believer that this team's going to win the national championships.
The rivalries, it's up there on top of the list, man. And if we allow them to devalue it, we lose a lot of what makes college football special. Don't let them do it. Don't let them devalue what it means to you. And welcome into Juck on Bucks. Appreciate you so much for joining me today on a Tuesday. I wasn't going to do a show today, guys. I was not going to do a show. I was up watching a movie with my missus, which is something I don't do often. And not because I don't want to, because she doesn't want me there. I guess I poked too many holes through the plots of the movies and she can't stand it. Not, I guess. That's what it is. That's what she doesn't want to watch a movie with me because I can't shut up. I just have a hard time like suspending reality for a movie plot. Like I get it. You got to do it a little bit sometimes to make a plot work, but you know, it just bothers me when they take a little more than they should. They're just taking a little too much. But the one she made me watch yesterday was just so ridiculous that like at the end, she even said, "Oh, are you serious?" So, you know, it's bad when that happens. But my point is we're 25 minutes into this movie, right? That I've committed to watching. And the news breaks that Max Riley has committed to Ohio State. So now I'm sitting here like this through the movie. Like I got to get down here, man. I got to get down here. So Max Riley, guys. Max Riley, when we talk about the Ohio 4, which is so if you've been around here for any length of time, I'm big into recruiting. I'm really big into offensive line recruiting and offensive line play because I think it is the backbone of any football team. And Max Riley, when we talk about the class of 2026, 4 Ohio linemen, guys born and raised in the state of Ohio, good enough to play for Ohio State. And Max Riley always on the top. It's Max Riley, Sam Greer, Will Conroy, Adam Guthrie, those 4 dudes. And it wasn't long ago I added Ben Congdon to that and made it the Ohio 5. Ben Congdon has since committed to Miami. He never got his Ohio State offer. I think it was coming. I think it might still. But he's committed to Miami. Will Conroy was the first off the board. He committed to Oklahoma back when Justin Fry was still around. And then, of course, last week, we had the big whammy as Adam Guthrie committed to Pawpaw in Clemson. And that was just a little insult to injury. Chubby Mr. Rogers looking Mississippi goofball coming up into the state of Ohio, trying to plant this Clemson flag. And then the disrespect afterwards with the best in Ohio come to Clemson with Max Riley and Caden Gebhart tagged on that thing, man. And we were getting a little salty. Those of us who really, really love keeping the Ohio in Ohio State. And by that, I mean Ohio players, the best particularly, staying with the Buckeyes, with the home state school. Started getting a little irritating, but Max Riley comes through, and kudos to the kid who was leaning towards Clemson, had it down to Clemson and Ohio State. Fry leaves, his decision coming up soon, and he says he's going to push the decision back, wait a little longer until he gets an opportunity to meet Bowen, see what he thinks about him and how he feels about him, where the Ohio State offensive line room is going under his vision. And he gave it some time. And here comes the decision. The decision is Buckeyes. And it couldn't be any cooler. And I'm telling you guys, the energy around Tyler Bowen is palpable with these guys. Things are about to change. I've been saying it. It's different. You can feel it. It's a bummer, man. I don't know how else to say it. It's a bummer. That said, Tyler Bowen is going to have a sensational first offensive line class. I've been saying it. It's different. You can feel it. And the Ohio State offensive line room is going to start finally looking on signing day like the rest of the Ohio State program. It really is. I'm telling you, things are different now. And right off the rip, he's coming in and saying, no more of this. Anybody at this point who doesn't want to play for the national champions for this guy is just like, all right, whatever, man. Here we go, guys. Max Riley lining up number 75 there at your left tackle, doing the damn thing on a double team. Here we got our guy Poland here, engages his block, drives him back, holds onto it, drives him to the ground. We got to love that. And again, we got him Poland here. Let me take you right out of the play when my guy scores a touchdown. I'll toss you on for a little extra. How about that? Squaring up against big homie right here. Take him out of the play. Who you talk to. Oh, he does not stop till that whistle
and he's going to continue to get bigger, going to get taller too. Listed at 6'3.5" or 6'5", depending on. We'll see what happens. Not done growing. And what do we always say when we talk about linemen? Does he love football? Yeah. This dude loves football. He loves contact. He eats this up, man. Eats it up. Here he is playing defense. Not the quickest feet for defense, but plenty quick for the O-line. And a nasty, nasty prospect.
Because he's got it going. He's got it going. And now he brings in Max. Max at 6'5", 280 pounds. Is he an interior guy? Is he a tackle? I don't know, man. Whatever he's best suited for. He's got the size to do either. I feel like Tyler Bowen really likes bigger tackles. That's just my gut based on some of his offers here. But Max could probably play either. And let's not forget, Max says his dad's 6'8". He's not yet 18. He's not fully grown. If he gets any taller, he's kind of, you're going to have to move him outside. But right now, I think he projects better as an inside guy, which is fine, which is great. We need stud guys on the inside as well, coming up through the system at various stages of development, and he certainly is one. When we talk about his ranking, we're talking about a dude who has been a top 5 player in the state of Ohio all the way along. You see on 24/7's composite, which is what I go by as a standard. He is the number 4th rated player in Ohio, the number 114 player in the country, 4-star on 3. He is their number 8 rated interior guy. And when 247 breaks it down by position, he is their number 7 rated tackle. So you can see even the services don't have him in the same position. He's either a guard or a tackle on one or the other. But here, when we look at those top tackles, those top 7 tackles in the country, you are looking at Max Riley, committed to the Buckeyes at number 7. And when you go up to number 2 on that list, Felix Ojo is a guy who it's thought right now his top 2 are Ohio State and Texas. He's out of Texas. Texas probably the favorite right now. But Bucks have had some serious success in Texas with some high-profile prospects. Devin Sanchez, how do you do? And I like the odds for Felix Ojo there. Of course, Bowen also in on Jackson Cantwell. Got the Buckeyes into his final 6 right now. And it's looking good. It's looking real good. But Max Riley makes the class of 2026 a 5-man class now. Is a class that started slow, but now you bring in Chris Henry Jr., Max Riley, Jacob Weatherspoon, Jaden Ricketts, Corbin Fordham, starting off really with a solid core here with 3 Ohioans, with Max Riley, Jacob Weatherspoon, and Jaden Ricketts. And Corbin Fordham, an underrated diamond right there. And we're going to see him shoot up the rankings. A receiving tight end who is so smooth and so fast, great moves with some size. And obviously Chris Henry Jr., we know what he is, and it'll just be a matter of, can they ride that out? But class started off slow. People have been getting stressed about it. And I'd almost rather wait a little longer until you start getting a pile of commits, because holding on to these guys this day and age seems to be like the tougher thing to do than to go get them. So I'm like, for instance, USC right now has 12 guys committed. They're the number 1 class. I would be kind of stressed if we had 12 guys committed, that you're going to lose a bigger percentage of them at this point than you will if, let's say they give it another 3 months and then decide. But I do think we are about to see several other commitments roll in here relatively quickly. It just feels like there's about to be some momentum, or maybe we'll start to feel that national championship excitement and bump in the form of commitments. Clemson just had quite a few over the weekend. They had a big 2 times a year, they have a big thing where they have all their commits in at once. And they just got Naeem Burrows and obviously Adam Guthrie, who we talked about. They got Grant Wise, who was an offensive lineman I loved, another interior guy that we offered at a camp last year. And they got themselves a good little class going. So good for little Clemson, who finished outside the top 15 last year. Good for them. But man, that pissed me off. The best in Ohio go to Clemson. Like, whoa, like, this is factually incorrect and disrespectful as hell. Can you shut? Like, I don't know who said it. I don't know if they're attributing that quote to Adam or not. I didn't see him say that. I think they're just posting that like a Clemson site or something. But that irked me. That irked me good. Let's get to Tyler Bowen and his first spring with the Buckeyes that are about to be on the field. Interesting tidbit about the offensive line from the funniest man in Ohio State media, outside of me, of course, Tony Girdeman. Tony Girdeman from Buckeye Huddle. Now, pretty much the conventional wisdom of how we would project this offensive line entering the season by anybody who, follows the team closely. And this is, again, before any improvement that we see in spring or before any of the position battles in fall. But if we were just to say, okay, right now, pick the starting five, who would it be? We would all kind of sound similar with Ethan Onyanwa at left tackle, Luke Montgomery at left guard, Carson Hinsman at center, Tegra Shabola or Austin Searvold at right guard, and Ian Moore or Philip Daniels at right tackle. Those are the battles. That's what we're looking at. Now, you can chalk this up into one that I didn't see coming, as what Tony reported was Austin Searvold will be lining up as one of the starters as we start spring. So is he starting over Montgomery at left guard or over Tegra at right guard? Neither. He was told that we're going to enter the spring with Austin Searvold starting at left tackle, with Luke at left guard, Carson at center, Tegra at right guard, and Ethan Onyanwa at right tackle. That would obviously make your two next best linemen, Philip Daniels and Ian Moore. We thought those two would be competing for the right tackle position, and Ethan would be your left tackle. So, no idea how Tyler Bowen operates yet as an offensive line coach. And these guys are all going to improve as we go. But I definitely thought it would be Austin Searvold improving as a guard that we would be seeing as we started spring here. And if he's working at tackle, that means he's not improving as a guard. Philip Daniels and Ian Moore, maybe we're not sure one of those two is quite ready to be that ready-to-play guy. I don't know. Could mean a lot of things, but I know it's very interesting. You got two expensive tackles in the portal. The thought was they're coming in to be your two starting tackles. One of them really expensive, really highly rated, really big and nasty, and he played left tackle at Rice last year. That's Ethan Onyanwa, and it looked pretty straightforward. That's your left tackle. So I don't know. I'm confused. The good news is we got 7 physically matured, talented guys in Carson Hinsman, Ethan Onyanwa, Austin Searvold, Tegra Shabola, Luke Montgomery, Ian Moore, and Philip Daniels. So that's a good 7, right? Where are they going to go? I don't know. Is Philip Daniels ready or not? We'll see. Is Ian Moore more prepared than him? I don't know. But what I do know is this has become much more interesting now than I thought it was going to be. And I was talking with Dylan yesterday, like the spring last year was just, it wasn't too exciting. We got a lot to be excited about this time around. There is just a lot of up in the air. Who's going to come out victorious in a lot of these areas? It's going to be really fun. So anyway, guys, that's all I got today. I appreciate you all so much. Things are certainly getting rolling. We are less than 1 week now away from spring, and tomorrow we are going to dive in a little more on the defensive line, as well as some interesting coaching hypotheticals. And I'm just, this thing with Eddie George has got my gears spinning about Ohio State coaches in college football, and looking at Eddie and Luke, and looking at Marcus, and then looking at Hartline, and looking at James Laurinaitis, who I think are both going to be head coaches at some point. I wasn't sure if that was James Laurinaitis's future, like if that's what he wanted to do. It's clear now that Hartline and Laurinaitis want to be head coaches. And what are we looking at with Ryan Day? Let's say we're looking at another 7-8 years with Ryan Day. Who knows at this point? He pretty much leave whenever he wants to now. Who knows how long he's going to want to? Only time will tell. The job is a hell of a lot more stressful than it ever was. And he's a well paid dude. So who knows? But as we're looking out and projecting out, like which one of these guys lines up to be the hottest dude at that point? It's an interesting conversation. It's an interesting thought. And who would you want out of all those guys? But you don't get to pick Marcus. You don't get to pick Marcus because Marcus is the clear choice for everybody because of the success he's just had. What's interesting is I guess we're just having this conversation now and not tomorrow. What's interesting is Fickell. Fickell's had 2 bad years at Wisconsin, 2 500 years at Wisconsin, which is bad at Wisconsin. And before that, obviously, his star was like this. I think he waited too long. I think he could have had a better job if he'd have left a little quicker. And who knows if it isn't him in a situation like Marcus, where he's coaching at a place with more talent, and maybe he, is able to have a couple of good years at his new place, and then he looks like the guy that we're all like, yeah, it's Fick. Instead, Marcus catches a couple of really nice breaks, being with Fickell, having the most talent in their conference, being a solid defensive coordinator, and then using his natural charisma and way to win people over to get the job at Notre Dame, and then in a year become the head coach when goofball Kelly leaves, and all the players are like, nah, man, we just want Marcus, and he gets the job. Like, all credit to him, but a whole lot of luck went into that timing and everything, the way that worked out for him to even get that opportunity. Got it really early and has certainly made the most out of it, looking better than his predecessor for that program. And it's pretty awesome. We look at Eddie. I mean, this is a guy, I didn't think he was really like in it for this. Like, I didn't feel like he was a guy that was ready to climb the coaching ladder. It kind of felt like, I mean, yeah, Eddie George is coaching in the FCS, like in Tennessee, just, in his home state where they live now, and just kind of having a good time coaching little Tennessee State. It's how it felt to me. I didn't even realize that they made the playoffs last year. Like, if I'd have known that, I'd be like, all right, this is serious, like serious. And now he takes the job at Bowling Green. So now he's coaching in the MAC. 2 good years in the MAC, and all of a sudden Eddie George is like a Power 5 commodity and a very, very sought after Power 5 commodity straight out of the MAC. Why? Because of the chops that he brings with him. Number one, he's smart as hell. Everybody loves him. And he's freaking Eddie George, man. And we don't just feel like that about Eddie George as Ohioans. Like, everybody feels about that, like that way about Eddie. Like, that's just who Eddie is. And when we look at ADs that have to make these kinds of decisions, man, there are certain decisions that are just like, like this one may be great for football, but a little risky. But the candidate is someone everybody's going to love. And I'm the AD. I want them to love me too. I'm going to give them Eddie. And that's, what it boils down to. This is human nature. And people want to be loved. If I'm the AD, I'm hiring Eddie if he gives me a reason to. And a couple of good years at Bowling Green is a reason to. So going to be interesting on that front. But the same thing to a lesser extent about the national love. Laurinaitis, very similar in personality and in name recognition, not quite as high as Eddie around the country, but the way he is, every room he's in, man, like dudes look at him, chicks look at him, like just like Eddie. Like, everybody wants to be around Laurinaitis like that. He's just like a larger than life character with that same kind of humility, intelligence, like soft spoken, but strong way about him. Just winners, man. They're just winners. Hart, a little different, right? He's a little Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like, he's a little bit different. But we're lucky, man. We're a lucky bunch that we got this many options to talk about. Fickell doesn't get the respect I think he deserves, but I'm with the people who would be like, yeah, he wouldn't be on the top of my list. And it's got nothing to do with his year at Ohio State in the interim. I don't blame him for anything about how that season, like, that was a good learning opportunity for him. I don't know what it is about him as a head coach. It just doesn't do it for me. And I guess I'm not alone, because last year when people were on the fire Ryan Day train, it was all about Vrabel. Nobody was saying, no, give me Fickell. At least that's not what I was seeing. But anyway, interesting conversation. I want to know from you guys, after you like the show, of course, and subscribe, who would you pick in 10 years, you got to buy stock today. In 10 years, one of these guys is going to be the next head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes. We're excluding Marcus. So your list is Luke Fickell, Brian Hartline, James Laurinaitis, and Eddie George. That's your list. I'm going James. That's it. That's my final answer. Can't wait to hear yours, and I'll talk to you guys about it tomorrow. Juck and Bucks out. I want to tell you this movie, how ridiculous this is. So there is inside this airplane, down in the cargo room where we keep the luggage, there's an airtight room. Now, I don't know what that's for. It's like a glass room. It's like airtight hut. And there is a chemical bomb on board. And this chemical bomb was so powerful that supposedly it would have killed everybody inside the airport if it had gone off while it was on the plane, even while the plane was on the ground. So you have all the air between the airplane and the airport, and then it would have to go through the ventilation system in the airport. Would have killed everybody. But our hero locks the bad guy in the little glass airtight shelter inside the airplane, and we're all good. The bomb blows up in there, and we're cool. Nobody dies except for the bad guy. It was so bad, she was even saying, "Oh, come on, this is ridiculous." And that doesn't happen.